Hello YouTube community, welcome back. You might know my channel from the music that I publish, some car stuff, some kids and family stuff. So this video is very different. One of the things I love to do is growing palm trees in my backyard. But the last 13 years have been quite an up and down in terms of which palm trees made it that are still here today after 13 years, while others pass along the way. So this video is really intended passing on my tips about what it means to grow palm trees in southern Texas and what you can do as freeze preparation once we approach wintertime like right now. I will tell you some tips what to do to get palm trees ready for an approaching frosty few days. But the first thing I think starts with selecting the right palm trees. There are just naturally some types that have a better hardiness, that can just handle lower temperatures better than others. And I think if you have a palm tree type that is really not able to withstand any kind of freezing temperatures, you'll have a hard time enjoying it for years. Because nowadays, every other winter or so, we're gonna have days where even though it's just for a night or two, temperatures can drop in the 20s. We had this very unusual cold front, if you remember, last winter, so 2025, about a year ago, January 2025, where we had temperatures here in Pearland, Texas, just south of Houston, where we hit temperatures of the low 20s, I think, even like a 20 Fahrenheit. That is really rough for most palm trees, and I believe my palm trees, some of them only survived because of the protection that I did, which I'm going to tell you about. But I think general idea, start with types that have a better hardiness and don't even plant the ones that are just really, really vulnerable to that kind of weather. First tree, one of the originals that we planted, is this wonderful Mediterranean fan palm tree. It is now absolutely stunning. It is about 12, 13 years old and has been growing through all the cold winters that we had without any protection. So that type of palm tree is just super, super strong, resistant to cold fronts. You can see it has a very nice appearance. It doesn't grow very tall, so that's something you also want to consider, right? Palm trees can grow very tall, say like the Mexican fan palm tree. It grows quick, but it also grows so high that you really don't see it anymore. Eventually, you just see the trunk. So Mexican palm tree, not the ideal choice for the backyard. Mediterranean fan palm tree, very good, very beautiful, doesn't grow super tall, super, super hardy. Also very robust, Sago Palm tree. You see them here in front of my house. They are also original. They have made it through all the winters. You'll see that the fronds, the younger ones, die in a freeze and turn totally yellow. But you cut them off before spring arrives and they just regrow and recover. You'll never lose the entire palm tree, which is very, very good. Very popular in Texas is the queen palm tree. A beautiful tree, fairly fast growing, and you can generally relate fast growing to the price you pay. At the palm nursery. A fast-growing palm tree will be cheaper, obviously. A slow-growing one will be more expensive. Queen palms are very popular. I had several of them. I had special types of them that were supposed to be more cold hardy, but in reality, they all died. They're not there anymore. You can see the ones here in the front yard and the backyard. They are just not as strong. I do still see some in my neighborhood, so eventually one makes it through, but it can be very frustrating. One thing also to consider for those palm trees, if you lose one, and I lost the Mexican fan palm tree, I lost the queen palm tree, if you get them out of the ground because you want to replant your palm tree in the same location, it's a pain. Palm tree roots grow straight down, so if you want to use the same spot again, you have to go deep, dig them all out. It's a torturous work, but you need to do that to be able to plant another one on top. Otherwise, there will be no growth. So yeah, not the best choice. Now, this is not an all-inclusive list. This is just passing on my experiences. Another very good option for our region is the native Texas Sabal Palm. They grow very well, very strong. I see them in our neighborhood, striving, healthy, making it through all the winters, all the freezes. The only difficulty why I didn't plant them, I could never find a small one at the palm nursery. They always sell the big sizes for high dollars, and I'd rather grow them myself. But great choice overall. I used to appreciate that I've been planting in my backyard now is the Pindo palm tree. Two reasons for that. First, it's very hardy, very high hardiness for freeze. And second, when you plant palm trees in your backyard, be aware about how they're going to grow. The Pindo palm tree is going to stay smaller, grow slower, so you see actually the foliage, the fans, everything for many years of growth, and it's not growing up and being gone. That is a big plus, and so I planted more of those lately. On the contrary, I used to have a Canary Island palm tree. Those are beautiful, stunning, enormously large fronds, very pretty. Keep in mind those palm trees grow very slow, but if they grow, if you don't lose them, they're going to grow very tall, majestic size. Gosh, they need some space to spread out, they need some upkeep, and they'll be also eventually also so high that you don't see much more of them anymore. The problem with those, I didn't get mine through the frost, through the winters that were strong. I see some in my neighborhood, but I also see some being quite sick, so not as hardy towards freeze as you'd like. And they are really always an expensive investment because they grow slowly, so don't recommend that one. Doing more research, talking to more people, what I found is the mule palm tree. What is a mule palm tree? Basically, I talked about the Pindo palm tree, smaller, strong, very hardy, and I talked about the beauty of the queen palm. So what they do, they blend those two, cross them over, manually with labor, pollinate those seeds, and you grow a mule palm tree. Those palm trees are the ones that are planted now. You can see them here. They're like 2 years old now. I brought them successfully through the last big freeze, and they look stunning. I love their appearance. They're growing not very slow. I'm happy with the pace they're having. I'm happy how they're growing. And those are really good candidates for southern Texas. Downside, because they're basically man-made, handmade, they're quite pricey. So if you look at my size here, 2 years old, when I picked them up, they were so small that I could load them in my minivan, and you pay several $100 each. But you can enjoy them hopefully through many years to come. Let's talk about freeze protection. All right, let's say you planted your trees, and there are just few ones, like in my case, the mule palm trees, that you really want to make sure they survive. You don't want to lose them, so you want to do extra. You don't want to take a risk that they don't make it. I can tell you for any upcoming freeze, I will do nothing about protecting the Mediterranean palm tree. It's fine. I will do nothing about the Pindos, but I'm going to protect the mule palm trees again. So here's what I did, and the pictures illustrate this that I'm going to show while I'm talking. And you might figure I have an engineering background and I'm getting excited about those things, but what I did, so the freeze is always announced, right? So you have several days to get ready. So if you want to get ready, you have time to get ready now. What I do, I bought this electrical heat tracing cable, which is basically designed to protect water lines from freezing. Has a standard plug that you can put in your outlet or in an extension cord to run it across the yard if you need to. And there's a dead end on the other end. And this cable is what you basically wrap around the trunk of the tree. Now, if you get it out of this storage situation, it expands kind of like a spiral. So it's very useful to go with that spiral mode and use this spiral shape. It's a pretty sturdy cable. So use this spiral shape and just use it to spiral around your trunk of your palm tree, right? Starting from the ground all the way up. It will provide some warmth. Again, it's designed to keep a water line from freezing, but it will also apply warmth to your palm tree. Here's actually the actual sensor. So if you want to simulate it, you can, put this into a water bath with ice. You can see how it turns on, and you can feel the cable turning warm. That alone will not do anything. What you need to do then as well, you grab towels, blankets, old winter jacket, anything you can find, and wrap it around the trunk. So once the heating cable turns on warm, and I didn't mention that clearly maybe, but at certain low temperatures, it turns on. So when it gets close to freezing, it turns on. You want to keep that heat inside the area that you wrapped, basically the area around your trunk. And so you need to wrap it. And then use some cords, bungee cords, ropes, whatever, to make a nice package out of it. And so that's going to help to keep this trunk and the core of the plant warm. The top is difficult. You have the fronds coming out, so you do what you can. Where the fronds spread out, I stuff some extra blankets from the top and make it as good as I can. You can see then, if you want to monitor if everything is working, I bought this power meter outlet. So you just plug it into your power outlet, plug this one in here, pretty standard. And then you can get a reading how many watts are pulling, which gives you basically a good indication that this thing is actually working and is on. Especially if you have a bigger backyard, it's nice when it's cold. You don't have to go out there trying to see if the light is on. You can see from your source point, if there's power drawn, that means the heating is on. And if you want to go one more step beyond that, you can geek out totally and go all nerdy like I did. There's a company called YoLink. They allow you to basically have a central receiver in the house that connects to your Wi-Fi, which connects to your phone. And these are humidity and temperature sensors that work remotely over quite a far distance, so no problem. Wherever you have them on your property, they're going to read in. And so I use these by stuffing them into my wrapped palm tree to get an actual temperature reading on my phone to see if the heating is actually working. And you can see on those trends that at a certain point in time, let's say 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the heating kicks on. You can see that this warmth's building up, and my palm trees were cruising around 50, 60 degrees during the last frost that we had. Good stuff. As good as that is, it obviously only works if you don't lose electricity. If you remember the freeze, I think it was 3-4 years ago, when Texas had this broader power outage, none of this works because you depend on electricity. But the last year, it worked fine, and my palm trees were kept warm that way. Very good. One more thing you want to do, it's very important that you look very closely at your palm tree after the freeze. Monitoring your palm trees for health is very important. If you look at this one, what I do occasionally is just look here at the fresh growth and make sure everything looks healthy. You can see here everything looks healthy. There's no discoloration. It has this light green, palm tree green that you want to see. And that means this is a healthy new growth. All the life of the palm tree is basically happening in this section, right? In the top part. That's the part that is most important for the palm tree, where the new growth is done, formed, and where the palm tree is most vulnerable at the same time. So it is very important to give it a good visual every once in a while to have a successful growth. Part of that is, of course, 2-3 times some fertilizer. I have some special palm tree fertilizer just to make sure there's enough nutrients. And another thing I've learned is if you plant those palm trees, you see this one is elevated. Make sure they stand out. Make sure they're elevated over the grass level, because palm trees don't like to sit with wet feet. They don't like that. So after a freeze, it is even more critical to observe your palm tree, because that's when they're vulnerable and they might get attacked by fungi attacks, all kinds of diseases. Sometimes I see when this new growth comes out that a section of that was totally suffering as well and is dead. So everything that was not protected enough. But as long as new growth comes out, the palm tree will totally recover and you're fine. But one thing to do, if you see some kind of fungi, some fungus that keeps growing after the freeze, or that actually spreads after the freeze, and I've seen it, starting to grow very, very rapidly. You look one day, literally, everything is good after the freeze. I look 3 days later and all this is suddenly brown, and suddenly it's a brownish color and black, and you can see it's dying. It can go within days. And for that, I have a treatment that can help you. Okay, one thing that helped me out when I saw this fresh, fouled fawns or parts of the fawn suffering some kind of infection is this liquid copper fungicide. There might be other solutions. You see it looks like a copper color here. Be careful, it's very inky, so you basically put it in your water can, highly dilute it, or if you can, you use a spray can, like something used to spray herbicides, or even a little, let me show you. Yeah, I would say after the initial freeze, some broad application with the spray can, with the water can, is a good idea. But then eventually you might see that the damage is really limited to this section of new growth right here on the top. And what worked out for me very well is using this kind of small spray bottles where you make your mixture, and so you can be very targeted, just working on those areas that are affected, and just spray those, because obviously this is not, you don't want to do too much and harm the plant in general. You want to be mindful, not overdo it, and just be very targeted. So this worked very well, and I've seen that plants like this one that had this kind of attack fully recovered throughout the course of a year. If you see this font and how it's destroyed, this was fresh growth during the freeze that we had. You can see what I'm saying, that some parts of those fans died, but you can see the tip survived and the lower part survived because the frost was just getting to it when the growth was at this location. So that's how it looks like. Frost damage throughout the growth period. Keep in mind, if you buy a mule tree and you're not familiar with the different types, a mule tree, very different compared to the queen palm, which it might look most similar to, has this kind of purple colored trunk. That's what the queen palm doesn't have, and that's a good differentiator. It comes from its brother, or better say, its father. It comes from its father, the Pindo tree that we see here. That's where this trunk color comes from. All right. I hope some of those tips can be useful for you and you have new ideas to protect your plants. You make the right selections so you can enjoy your palm trees and you don't need to be sad that they didn't make it through the freeze. There will be always a new freeze, most likely. Hopefully we get away this year, but then there will be coming one next year. Hopefully some of the things that I do can be something you want to do too, try out. Let me know in the comments what works for you, what doesn't. And if you have other ideas, I'd love to hear. I thought the learning process I had to go through was a bit painful by losing several trees and plants, and it's a lot of work, a lot of money. I hope this can help you. And that was the intent of my video, sharing some of the hard learnings that I had. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Hello from the world. Hello from the world. Can you hear me? Hello from the world, hello from the world. Do we agree? Hello from the world, hello from the world. Can you hear me? Hello from the world, hello from the world. Use your eyes and see. Hello from the world. Hello from the world. Hello from the world. Hello from the world.